Hello, my friends. Hope you guys are well. There we go. We got the mic going and ready to go for the 1st of May devotion with me, Beau. Hope you guys are well. It's the morning Devo with Beau, and we are in Genesis 6 and 7. Beau's my name, and I get to go through the Bible all the time on my YouTube stream. You know, it's like, what do you do with your YouTube, huh? Well, what I did is I ended up just posting a lot of my going through the Bible, because I wasn't raised around the Bible. I didn't grow up around the Bible. I didn't grow up thinking about the Bible. I didn't grow up, just around Christian people. I didn't hear that kind of lingo or anything like that. It wasn't until my later teenage years that I actually began to read the Bible and just go over it. By the way, if you do hear some knocking, it's because I got someone doing some work on the house. So, hey, just ignore that. Sorry about that. But, you know, they're in early and doing work, which is great. We don't do a ton of work on our home. So it's like every so many years, you need to kind of get some work done. And so that's what they're doing outside. A good friend actually is working on the house. Okay, so Genesis 6 and 7, we're going to go through 2 chapters today, and I wanted to read them just to help, again, with the flow of the Bible. We've just got done, of course, a lot of really cool stuff. Last thing we got into was a genealogy that was really cool. It was a genealogy of a guy named Seth, who was born of Adam and Eve. And we saw that people lived longer on the planet and they had a lot of kids. And there's certainly the line of Seth that is emphasized in the previous chapter. And we see that people are starting to call on God, on the name of God, and it seems like that's through the line of Seth that this is happening. But there's other lineages that are starting to take place, i.e. Cain was before that, before chapter 5, and we saw that there was a lot of interesting things going on. It's kind of interesting, too. There was industries and musicians and different things all developing very early on, and things got squirrely, and we're going to see just how squirrely they get. So it says, then the people began to multiply on the earth, and daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw the beautiful women and took any that they wanted as their wives. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not put up with humans for such a long time. It's kind of sad to me, this kind of event they took. I know there's always a lot of debate in this section of the Bible. I mean, man, there is a plethora of videos on the Nephilim, and we'll see that word come up here. And that's what, hey, you want to get into that, you get into that. And I think a great, get a good commentary, go to enduringword.com. You could check it out. Read my friend David Guzik's commentary on this section of the Bible. Do your own study, really look into it. Make your decisions, based on your study of the scriptures. Our devotion, I want to emphasize some different things that maybe you've never thought of. One of them is, it says, and they took the wives, any that they wanted. It's kind of a sad condition when human beings, especially males, just take anybody that they want as a wife. It becomes like, what they want to do, hey, I'm going to take that woman, kind of thing. And, I think as men, you have to look at your heart and just say, hey, is that my attitude? Where I just want to take someone. And notice it says that they took, it says these beautiful women. It says that they are beautiful. Nothing's wrong with beauty. Beauty is something that we see, biblically speaking, is not subjective, but is actually objective. It's something that is objectively beautiful. Meaning it's not just beautiful, like in my house, but it's beautiful outside of my house as well. And it's beautiful in another house. And it's they're beautiful. It's objectively beautiful. And it says that they saw them, that they were beautiful, and then in their hearts, they took. And the Lord says that my spirit will not put up with humans for such a long time, for they are only mortal flesh, and in the future, their normal lifespan will be no more than 120 years. We can see already the separation between God and human beings in the early section of the book of Genesis. But you really get, I love this section because you really get a heart for the deity. Sometimes when you think of God, or when I thought of God, I thought of kind of like a robot. I don't know if you have too, but you kind of think robotically. God's like, burp, 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 kind of this like giant machine. There's not much emotion with God. But in this section, you really get a lot of this emotion, with God. Man, God looks at everything and just goes, yuck. Man. And I think this is something that we can relate to because, how many of us look at our world today and the things and what we say is, yuck. Man, what a mess, right? Things are just absolutely chaos. And nothing seems to work. Everybody seems to hate each other. No one seems to like each other. It just everything seems very dysfunctional. And so I love it. When people are taking wives and I'm going to take you, it's like, oh man, it's just, I love it. The deity's like, man, this isn't good. And I'm glad that's in the Bible. I'm glad it's not a deity who's just like a robot, like, oh, whatever, or I'm indifferent to this. No, there's an opinion there. And I find that, quite cool. And I think it's a right opinion. The Bible says God's righteous. And I would imagine his opinions are quite right. But knowing what is said here, I will not put up with these humans for such a long time. Man, that's beautiful. That makes sense. How many people don't want to put up with other people for a long time? Right? How many times have you thought, man, I don't want to put up with this person this long. And this person's tough. This person's a distraction. This person's this person's that. I'm glad they're out of my house. I'm glad they're da-da-da-da-da. That kind of thing. So I think you can relate a little bit. So instead of maybe attacking the God of the Bible, maybe you can look at seeing how you relate to the God of the Bible, how it's very similar to maybe some of your attitudes as well. Maybe you've had that same attitude too. It's like, hey, this place is a mess. This world is a mess. It says, in those days, for some time after, giant Nephilites lived on the earth. For whenever the sons of God had intercourse with women, they gave birth to children who became the heroes and famous warriors of ancient times. Wow. Now, this area is super, this is the one that has a lot of different YouTube clips on. There's great, shows of monsters and big giant creatures that are 700 feet tall and all that. And man, like I said, do your study, do your investigation into it. All we know is that in those days, there was these Nephilim that were on the earth, and that talks about these sons of God having intercourse with women, and they gave birth to children who became the heroes and famous warriors of ancient times. And that's all we're told. And it says the Lord observed the extent of human wickedness on the earth. Notice it says human wickedness on the earth. It's not talking about, I didn't hear anything about angels on the earth, but it does say humans' wickedness on the earth. So I would imagine there's a lot of humans that are having intercourse with each other and they're producing children. And it's a warrior race, man. It seems like it's a bunch of leaders and warriors and war people and that kind of thing. Hey, how much you think we're a lot different in our world? Do you think we really are much different than this? How much is the military budget of the world? How much is the military budget of our country? What do we breed in the country? What do we breed? What do other countries breed? Do you get what I'm saying? Do we not have a warrior mentality even today? So sometimes I think when we go, oh man, things were so different back then, because really, they were really different. How many wars go on in a year? How many battles are fought? If we take all over the earth, how many, in every place, in every country, in every town, in every city, where, in every tribe, how many wars take place? How many battles take place? How many warriors are there? How many military people are there? Maybe today it would say, hey, people give birth to a military, to a giant military country. A country that is fully militarily, that's what they're into. I mean, you put it like that and you kind of go, wow, maybe not much has changed. Maybe the latter days will be like in the times of Noah. Just maybe, right? And this is kind of maybe what Jesus is getting at, that just as in the days of Noah, when all this madness was going on, all this kind of violent attitude towards one another, not love is grown cold in the world. All this is going on, this military might. Maybe Jesus is saying once again, it will be like that, a military world. People fighting against another, wars and rumors of wars. Does that sound like Jesus? Yeah, Matthew 24, right? Yeah, so the Lord observed the extent of human wickedness on the earth, and he saw that everything they thought or imagined was consistently and totally evil. Totally evil. Everything evil. In the days of Noah, so shall it be in the end times, right? Consistently and totally evil. I'm not evil. No way. So the Lord was sorry he had ever made them and put them on the earth. It broke his heart. Oh, beautiful. You get that idea of a broken heart. That God has emotion. So God is not impersonal, but God is a personal being. We get this very early on in the Bible. So God is not just a concept in your brain. The concept of God. Oh, I like to talk about God. I love No, that's not the God of the Bible. The God of the Bible is actually a person with personality. And this develops in the scripture. The revelation of God is one who's outside of time, matter, and space, sovereign, does not bound by time, matter, and space, but can be everywhere in time, matter, and space, and walk with a body on the planet all at the same time, who's a person, who's personable. He's intelligent and he has a personality. Wow, that is, and he makes humans in his image and likeness. Hey, do you have a personality? What's that personality like? We all have personalities, right? That's right, because we're all made in the image of God. And so it says that it broke his heart. And the Lord said, I will wipe this human race I have created from the face of the earth. Yes, and I will destroy every living thing, all the people, the large animals, small animals that scurry along the ground, and every bird of the sky. I am sorry I've even made them. But Noah found favor or grace. We get the word grace from this section too. Noah found grace or favor in the eyes of the Lord. I love the idea of favor, don't you? That we are saved by grace, favor. Wow. It's always nice when, the Lord finds favor with you. I mean, that's a big idea for me to think about today. That does God see, is his favor on me? And how do I know his favor's on me? Is it because it's just me and he's got to like me for who I am? And what I am and who I think I am and what I think my identity is, and he better like me or else, that kind of idea? Or is it that God has demonstrated his love towards me in a particular way. And that is how he has shown his favor, if you will, is that he has done something for me. And have I received that grace? Have I received that favor? The favor, can you do me a favor? Noah found favor, but God's done you a favor. He's given you grace. Do you receive it? He's not going to force you to receive it, but it's grace. You don't deserve it. It's just a gift. It's favor. He's given you a favor. And many of us have rejected it over and over and over and over. We don't need a favor from God. I don't need a favor from anybody. I am able. I am so able. See, that kind of stubborn heart can only get you so far in this world. How can we really get to where we want to be in life, even in a secular sense, without people giving us favor and people giving us favors? People showing grace in our life, offering us a job when maybe someone was better and more qualified for that job. Do you realize that there's always someone better that can do a better job at your job than you? Yeah, you're not in your job because you're the most amazing person in the world and you're the best at that job. No, there's other people that are better at that job than you. But you have favor. Man, that's amazing. That is unbelievably cool. Yeah, we realize that. Not everybody is where they're at because of just merit alone, that you earned it, right? But someone blessed you, someone did something for you, someone gave you an open door to be in a position to get some experience under your belt, all that. God, poured favor on Noah. It says Noah found favor with the Lord. Wow. There's a lot there. I want to be thankful for that favor God gives me. It's kind of neat. A little play on words there. This is the account of Noah and his family. This is kind of the idea, this kind of way, the format of Genesis. The accounts, the account of Seth, the account of Cain, the account of the fall, the account of creation, the account of the creation of man and woman, right? And bringing them together in marital bliss, if you will. And this is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, the only blameless person living on the earth at the time. Blameless in what way? It's always a good study. Does that mean he had no issues at all? We're going to find out that that's not what this means, but we're going to see that it's definitely a blamelessness that's made him distinct from the rest of the world that has certainly gone away from God. And it says, the only blameless person living on the earth at this time, and he walked in close fellowship with God. Wow, that's cool. Maybe when I walk in close fellowship with God, that there is like a blamelessness that is there. But it doesn't mean I'm without sin. But there's in a sense, there's a honesty that's going on in life. I'm talking to God about it. I'm not hiding from God. I'm not trying to cover up the issue. I'm walking in a blameless way. You can't blame me for anything. If you say, Beau, you did this, I go, yeah, I know I did that. And I'm talking to God about that. Okay, so that one, okay, but there, there's nothing that I'm, kind of conniving and, manipulating and all that. And it says he's the only blameless guy. And he says he walked in close fellowship with God. Noah was the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now God saw that the earth had become corrupt and was filled with violence. God observed all this corruption in the world, for everyone on earth was corrupt. So God said to Noah, I have decided to destroy all living creatures, for they have filled the earth with violence. Yes, I will wipe them out along with the earth. Just as in the days of Noah, once again, right? Will the latter days be a day where violence, military, operations will be dominant, where it will be a violent world, right? Not a fun world to be around, not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing what's going to be the next war on the horizon, right? How's this going to be? What's it going to be like? Here we see that early on, things aren't going good. Violence. I've been around some violence growing up, by the way. And man, there's nothing more scary as a kid than seeing violence, seeing people bleed, from being hurt physically. And, I remember watching people get beat up when I was a kid in my neighborhood, and adults fighting and getting drunk, and oh man, dude, getting cut and things like that. And man, it just freaked me out, dude. It was just, wow, it really is a scary thing. I saw violence in my home, and that was scary. Well, here we see that, so God said to Noah, I have decided to destroy all living creatures, and they have filled the earth with violence. Yes, I will wipe them out along with the earth. Build a large boat from cypress wood and waterproof it with tar inside and out. Then construct decks and stalls throughout its interior. I love it. The person outside's doing a bunch of kind of like patching up work. And so I'm reading this more in a construction kind of way now. Make the boat 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Leave an 18-inch opening below the roof all the way around the boat. Put the door on the side and build 3 decks inside the boat, lower, middle, and upper. Now you can go to Answers in Genesis, and they actually have a museum in Kentucky where you can go and actually see a replica of what is being built here. Look, I am about to cover the earth with a flood that will destroy every living thing that breathes. Everything on earth will die, but it will confirm my covenant with you. So I will confirm a covenant. There will be a covenant, a relationship between Noah and God. We get this first indication of covenant, right? The covenant that I will do this. I am going to promise this, and you're going to see it fulfilled. There is a theology called covenant theology. You might want to look it up. And there's different ways of looking at the Bible. And, covenant theology is one of them. It's the way of studying the Bible, way of looking at the Bible a little bit by the various covenants that are mentioned throughout the entire Bible. Well, here's a covenant, and it's between Noah and God. I will confirm this covenant with you. So enter the boat, you, your wife, and your sons and their wives. Bring a pair of every kind of animal, a male and a female, into the boat with you to keep them alive during the flood. Pairs of every kind of bird, every kind of animal, and every kind of small animal that scurries along the ground will come to you and be kept alive. And be sure to take on board enough food for your family and for all the animals. So Noah did everything exactly as God had commanded him. And so we see the command to bring these animals into the boat. And it says, when everything was ready, the Lord said to Noah, go into the boat with all your family, for among all the people of the earth, I can see that you alone are righteous. Take with you 7 pairs, male and female. So 7 pairs, it says, male and female, of each animal I have approved for eating for the sacrifice, and take 1 pair of each of the others. So take 7 pairs of every kind of bird. There must be a male and a female in each pair to ensure that all the life will survive on the earth after the flood. Okay, so there is a preserving of these creatures. Many creatures are going to die, but there is a preserving of these animals for this new world that will take place. I think we try to do this today too. It's called a zoo. A lot, right? Where a lot of us, we don't realize, but man, people are trying to help these animals, and they bring them to a zoo to help them, to heal them, to, it's not always bad, right? They're trying to, take care. Maybe an animal is on the verge of going extinct. And so they will go to a zoo and they'll want to have them mate and try to, grow that particular kind of species. And so it's not all bad. But you see here, this kind of taking place. I used to think it was really far-fetched when I'd hear this event, that, oh my gosh, 2 of every kind, 7 pairs, or, that kind of thing, this whole thing. It sounds so lame, da-da-da-da-da. But is it really lame? I mean, isn't that what we do? Isn't what Noah doing what we normally do on the planet anyway? We preserve animals, livestock, creatures, right? That's what we're doing. When you have a farm, you're preserving animals. You're wanting to breed them, to grow them, right? To take care of them. And God says, hey, this is what you need to do, Noah. You need to become a zoologist, so to speak. I guess that might not be the exact perfect word, but you get the idea. Someone to preserve. Am I a person who preserves? Am I a person who wants to preserve? Am I a person who wants to help, who wants to, understanding that there is a lot of destruction that I can't control. There's a lot of things that I can't control. But, is my heart one to want to preserve? I think a lot of people have good hearts to want to save the trees and save the world. And, I think there's some good heart behind that. But unfortunately, as humans have a lot of evil in our heart too, that kind of distorts things, where we start on the right track, we start with maybe good motives, and then our motives get bad, and then money gets involved, and then this gets involved, and then all of a sudden we become hateful people. And what we started off really getting involved in, we thinking we were helping, we find out that we've become, in a sense, a part of the problem. It's very interesting how that kind of works in the world, right? But am I a person who wants to preserve, to help out? Is that my heart? Or have I become indifferent to the plight of people? It's like, you hear about different events that take place and how people, getting hurt and thousands of people dying. Are we just like, so what? Or am I really about the business of preserving? Really, where's my heart? Is it one, do I want to see people wiped out? Do I want to see people killed? Do I want to see animals killed? Do I want to see trees taken down? Is that where my heart's at? Yeah, great. Take out all the trees. Take out the Brazilian, rainforest. I don't care. What does it matter to me? Is that my heart? And I love how God knows that things are corrupted and there's going to be a judgment on the world. But there's a preserving, right? There's a taking care of. God will save his people. He puts them in a place of safety. Doesn't that sound interesting? That before the great calamity, there is a preserving of his people. He will take care of his people. Very interesting, right? Is that going to be like in the days of Noah too, where there's going to be not only a judgment, a worldwide judgment, but there'll also be a preserving of God's people. So Noah did everything that was commanded him, right? He will make the rains fall down. The rains will fall down 40 days and 40 nights until I've wiped out everything on the earth that I've created. And it says, verse 6, Noah was 600 years old when the flood covered the earth. He went on board the boat to escape the flood, he and his wife and his sons and their wives, and with them were all various kinds of animals, those approved for eating and for sacrifice, and those that were not. So it's interesting, sacrifice is mentioned here in this chapter. Chapter 6 of the Bible, sacrifice is mentioned. And it says, and those that are not, along with all the birds and small animals that scurry along the ground. They entered the boat in pairs, male and female, just as God has commanded Noah. And after 7 days, the waters of the flood came and covered the earth. And when Noah was 600 years old, on the 17th day of the second month, all the underground waters erupted from the earth. Wow. And the rain fell in mighty torrents from the sky, and rain continued to fall for 40 days and 40 nights. It sounds like a great upheaval on the earth. How did the mountains get formed where you're at? Those are huge mountains. Did they gradually just go like a little inch at a time? Little centimeter at a time? Like 20 years is maybe tiny, Or was it just a subduction zone, underneath, just a ripping up, tearing up? I mean, could you imagine how radical that would be? Like Mount St. Helens going, big volcanoes all over the place, underneath, just erupting. And these trenches happening where things are just, these plate tectonics moving, things just expanding up, right? The land is just going all over the place. Look at the mountains. Look at how the way they look. It's very interesting. It looks like some of them just kind of pop up in different areas, and you look and it looks like water covered everything. When you're traveling from where I'm at to California, it looks like a giant basin where water was there at one time. I mean, it's really, really cool and fascinating to look at the topography of the world. And it says, the Lord closed the door behind them. Isn't that cool? The Lord closes the door. Man, he takes care of Noah, and he's going to take care of you. 40 days, the floodwaters grew deeper, covering the ground and lifting the boat high above the earth. And the waters rose higher and higher above the ground, and the boat floated safely on the surface. Finally, the waters covered the highest mountains on the earth, rising more than 22 feet above the highest peaks. All of the living things on the earth died: birds, domestic animals, wild animals, small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the people. Everything that breathed and lived on dry land died. God wiped out everything living on the earth. God gives, and God, I guess, could take away. Oh, I don't think, God did the right thing. Well, I can think that all I want. The injustice of God. But God's the one who created. God is the painter. God is the composer. And when God's composing, God could change the notes. He has the right, as the composer, to put the arpeggios where he wants to put them, or to leave them out. He can do what he wants to do. He is the author. He is the playwright. It would be audacious for us, for me as a human being, to look at the Creator and say, why? Why did you do this? Look at how amazing we are. Oh yeah? Look how amazing we are? That's a hard one to debate, right? The injustice of God. Oh yeah, let's look at the injustice of human beings. Do we want to see that? Do we really want to look at that? Or are we in the business of blaming? Is that really what I'm about? Is just about blaming everybody. Blaming everybody for my stuff. Blaming everybody for the reason my life is the way it is. It's all your fault. It's all their fault. And if it's not their fault, it's God's fault. We'll go after God. We'll go after somebody. Because the last thing humans want to do is have any accountability with really what we've become. And it talks about everything that breathed, lived, died. All were destroyed. The only people who survived were Noah and those in the boat, and the flood waters covered the earth 150 days. Wow. It's a great study. It's really a chapter to really get into. I mean, you could really do some cool study on this. Again, Answers in Genesis is a great source if you're interested in studying it more, kind of some of the, what would be geological subjects. It might be great. You might really enjoy that. I've seen a ton of videos from geologists and kind of going over this. You might have too. They're really, really cool and fascinating for sure. I've listened to a lot of different people on the Nephilim idea, everybody from Chuck Missler to Dave Guzik to Scott Richards to many different ideas on this section of the Bible. And I find those fascinating as well. What we want to do is just remember that God is God and that God can judge and God will hold the world accountable. And he's still holding the world accountable. And he will continue to hold the world accountable. It's just, where's my heart? Am I like Noah, wanting to draw close to God? Or am I wanting to be my autonomous Beau and just do what I want to do, not caring, instead just blaming everybody else for the problems of the world. Oh, it's Donald Trump. Oh, it's Kamala Harris. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Yeah, you're just going to blame until you die. That's the way of this world. But you can jump off that, that ship and get on the boat, the Noah boat. You can go hang out with Noah a little bit, draw close to God, instead walk humbly. A word that Friedrich Nietzsche didn't like too much, but the idea of walking in humility. Powerful. Jesus is our greatest example of the one who walks humbly, right? Beautiful. Okay, you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed 6 and 7 of Genesis. That was cool. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.